Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy, United People's TV, settled into the new studio now. It's just going to feel like a studio quite soon. I'm still excited about it. And I'm probably going to mention it at the start of every show this week. Let me off. All right. Been working on it for ages. We're here to run through everything. Today, we're going to be launching the summer transfer whiteboards. They're back in business, and I'm still getting PTSD about that season where I had one and I manually updated it every day. I'm never doing that again. But we've got them updated. We've taken your feedback in terms of the look. I hope you like them. We'll run through them a little bit later in the show. We're also going to be speaking through United's next signing after Mbeumo. Sorry, I know his name's Mbeumo now because I went there. We were doing a profile video on him yesterday, and I was like, let me just check how you pronounce his name. And I found him saying Mbeumo. So it's Mbeumo. Whoever said that down in the comments, you were bang on. We'll also speak through sales. That's going to be United's big shift, midfield signing. There's lots and lots to run through this morning. You can let me know what you think in the comments, as you always do. Let's get involved. Who's here from the mod and the member gang? Good morning to you, Klein. Good morning to you, Carl. You're there as well. Alex, you're there too. Good morning to everybody. Someone down there saying, Sam, the new studio looks AI. Is it actually real? There we go, mate. It is. Fully designed by me and Papa Peeps. And we nailed it, to be fair. Let's see who's here from the member gang as well. We've got James Wilson, which, don't like that name. David, Casey, we've got Ricky, we've got Saeed. Lots of new faces, can I say. Thank you all for subscribing this week. Get involved. Get involved in the chat. And make sure you, I say subscribe. Make sure you join the Discord. It's free of charge. And it really is a fantastic place. Now let's get into the show. As always, it's the transfer window, so I like to talk about what other clubs are doing. It definitely looks like City are cranking it up. I mean, how much did City spend in January? Was it like 200? I swear it was like 200 odd mil. Can't remember. Anyway, Reinder's going to go to City, another 70 million on a midfield. I thought, slap that down there. Go on then. Why not? Let's just sign a winger as well. I'm telling you, this one is a bit, I wouldn't say it's a head scratcher, right? But you can't exactly imagine Turkey going to City and being that sort of exciting, flourishing winger that he was at Lyon. And maybe I'm being unfair on Guardiola. We'll see. It just doesn't really sound like it fits. It might just be them taking advantage of an opportunity. But yeah, City are going to be the biggest spenders this summer, right? Bombshell news, bombshell prediction. It's what they always do. It's what Guardiola has always done. And I don't care what you say about him, the success that he's had. Guardiola has always had success throughout his entire career when success has been bought for him or he's walked into the greatest ever team that's ever existed in Barcelona. That's why the Pep and Fergie debate for me is never really a debate. I'll be totally honest. And of course, I'm completely biased because I'm a United fan. But yeah, Fergie, you know that. I know that, right? Apparently, they've spent 307. I don't know how much they've spent this year, but they spent an absolute bomb, right? Hector saying, morning, Sam. Always look forward to hearing from you. In all the noise on social media, you bring the truth. Well, that's what I try to do. I don't always get it absolutely bang on, but it's my attempt. That's the main purpose of the show. Thought this was an interesting one. Joe Bellingham and Dortmund. Looks like they're trying it. Do you imagine the conversations in the Dortmund boardroom? You know this worked before, right? Well, to be fair to Joe, he's massively improved this season. Came up with Sunderland. And now he's going to be following the same path as his brother. Will it end up being that Job follows Jude to Real Madrid and he float? I have no idea. I just thought it's a little bit funny that they're trying to repeat what they've done before. Anyway, let's talk about Manchester United. They're sort of the main things I wanted to speak about around United. Let's speak about this man here. Mbeumo, right? It was a bit of a boomer, wasn't it? Look at that segue. The Ornstein news caught us all off guard, and it was exciting because I don't think it's not as if none of us felt that we could have signed Mbeumo, but I felt other clubs had a charge on us. I really did. And that didn't work out for them. Now, a couple of things I want to speak about. Number one, I hope you enjoyed that video yesterday because I tell you what, I really enjoyed it. The amount of people that are rattled Like proper. I think rattled's the wrong word. It's like the amount of other fans that are genuinely angry. The fact that Mbeumo's chosen to move to Manchester United. Like it's almost like they're foaming at the mouth. And in particular, Newcastle fans. I'll run through that. Dean, good morning to you, dude. What are you saying? If money wasn't the issue, what would be the one signing you would make and why? It's a bit of a big question. I can't answer that off the top of my head. I'd have to think about it. Come back tomorrow and I'll let you know. Who would be the dream signing? I'm guessing it would be a central midfielder. But I had to think about it a bit more. Because you could say Gyökeres, but I actually think now that we've signed Cunha and, fingers crossed, signing Mbeumo too, I actually think other positions have a bigger priority than a striker, which might sound a bit weird because we didn't score enough goals last season. But anyway, that's what I think. Now, I just want to run through a few things. Number one, you got Sky Sports now reporting that United have actually registered their firm interest in Mbeumo because, of course, like we've still got to negotiate with Brentford. Okay, we've still got to agree a deal with them. Still got to agree personal terms. Like, it's just that Ornstein went big because Mbeumo's chosen United, but we've still got to go through and actually get it done. That will happen. But I want to have a little conversation here about the reaction to the Mbeumo to United story. I'm going to start with the journalists, right? Luke Edwards. If you don't know who Luke Edwards is, writes for The Telegraph, covers Newcastle. And I'll read through this, right? If, as is now expected, Bruno is rejected his 100 million move to Saudi Arabia, it does beg the question, how in the name of PSR are United affording this and Cunha without a player sale in June? Now, that's the sort of thing that you would expect to read just from like an average Joe Newcastle fan on Twitter. Not someone who is quite literally employed by a national newspaper to understand facts, to be able to spend time researching, to understand the numbers. That's just a hothead response to Newcastle losing out on a player. And it's just, all right, Luke, let me just explain it to you. Have a quick look at this, all right? This was the Money League. This is from Swiss Ramble, by the way, who is absolutely is a golden standard when it comes to football finances. The Money League from last season, wages to turnover. And this is the thing you still need to understand. Remember that Aston Villa fan that was getting annoyed? Oh, how is it that United can do this and Villa can't? Well, Gabriella, I remember your name. Last season, Aston Villa spent 96% of their turnover on wages. 96%. That's like the most unsustainable thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Imagine you ran a business. I don't know, say your business was, what was your turnover last month? Oh, yeah, we turned over 10 grand. That's an awesome business. Well done. How much were your wages? Well, they were £9,600. So you made 400 quid profit from 10 grand. It's not sustainable. Also, when it comes according to your UEFA rules, remember the new, it's not even FFP anymore. Sod knows what it's called. It's called PSR, obviously. That 96% there needs to be below 70%, I think, by next season. You can actually see United's up here. Our wage bill is huge, but our turnovers are that much bigger. Now, let me get a little bit of a zoom on here for you. Help you see it easier. Oh. Thank you very much. So you can see here, United, our wages to turnover ratio was 56% last year. Aston Villa down there at 96. They need to sell players, man. Newcastle, close to the edge, but just about under. But United are totally fine. This is the thing. Our wages mean that we're allowed to... Our turnover, means that our wage bill can be significantly higher. Anyway, Villa, know your place. And then let's go on to a little bit more here. Right. Brian Mbeumo, Man United target hoping for a 250k a week. He's on 50k a week. Where's this coming from? Right, so it's coming from the Times. Okay, it's interesting. Who's writing it? Charlotte Dunker, who covers United. She's down there as a sort of second name. Wasn't actually there in the original article, so I think they've added that. Martin Hardy. Who are you, mate? Because I've never seen you write about United before. Northern sports correspondent. Let's see the other articles you've done prior to writing about that. You've written about Sunderland. You've written about Newcastle. You've written about Newcastle. What else? You've written about Sunderland, Newcastle, Sunderland, Newcastle. Yeah, I get the point. All of a sudden, now that Mbeumo's coming to United, the first person who knows how much he's going to be on is the journalist who writes for Sunderland and Newcastle. I feel like Daniel Craig in Knives Out. They got a new one coming out. I'm looking forward to that. Everyone loves a good murder mystery. Either way, it's just either fair play or you just literally pulled that out of your ass. No, I'm going to go for the second one. It's I wouldn't say it's bitter or it's salty. It's the sort of stuff you'd see from angry fans rather than journalists who are paid to work for these papers. It's just funny. And as I said, and you know what? I always do this, right? Well, I always think this. When United get linked with a player or United complete a signing, and you see that the main reaction from everyone is anger, then you know United are actually going after a player that's a good signing. I wouldn't say United have made too many signings over the last few years that other clubs have looked at and been jealous of. I think I've said that before. I remember Bruno Fernandes was one of them. No, I'm not saying there aren't any. I'm saying there's a few. But clearly Mbeumo was somebody. I think it's the visibility because he played in the Premier League. Everybody knows his strengths. He scored 20 goals, got 7 assists. They're angry about it. And they're angry about Cunha as well. And Newcastle in particular, because effectively they were 2 signings who were on their list. That, out of interest, in the comments, how much do you actually think Mbeumo will be offered by United? Because I don't think it'll be 250. We don't know how much he's on currently. That's suggesting it's from 50 grand a week. I don't know what Brentford's wage structure is. But it won't be north of 100, I don't think. I'd like to think that United could get Mbeumo for somewhere in the region of 150. I think that's a very fair wage for a player who will probably come in and be one of our main men. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. 150 says Black Sheep. 110 says Rogue Variant. 180, a couple of you saying 150. Steve and Mo. Another Steve saying 150. Same wage as Ahmad. Don't actually know what Ahmad's on at all either, if I'm being totally honest. 150 says Connor. The majority of you agree sort of in that region then. I think 150 would be fair. I think 150 would be a massive bump on what he's on at Brentford. And I don't think that would break our wage structure. I don't think anybody... Not that you ever get offended how much a player is on, but you understand the impact that it could have if you bring a player in. And it's the Osimhen... We're going to speak about Osimhen a little bit later, but it's why the Osimhen conversation has never really gone anywhere. Let's be totally honest. Because the mental wages that he would ask for, probably in the region of 300 to 400k, would just blow the whole wage structure. And United have suffered from that in the past. My God, Dean, you're a ledge, man. Down there gifting 50 again. I love this community. I saw some feedback about the mic and people suggesting we get a different mic. This is the best mic. Sometimes I'm going to move away from it, but you're just going to have to deal with the fact sometimes it changes because this is definitely the best quality mic. Andy's saying have to consider where their next contract goes to. 150 feels very fair for a player of his quality that's going to bring that many goals, who will become, I think, one of the new leaders of this team. We need more leaders. We know we need more leaders. Absolutely do. Dean, I'll say it one more time, man. Thank you. Just thank you to this whole community. It feels like a really special week here on United People's TV. Just to see how many of you are tuning into the live shows every morning, how fun the chat is, the studio being launched, the Mbeumo news that came out. it's been a tough old year. It's tough old year here at United People's TV for everybody. Not here at United People's TV. We've all had a crap year as United fans. We've all stuck through it. And it's nice to actually be able to speak about next season and what's coming next. Because I said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not going to do I'm not going to do an Ineos propaganda video. Far from it. I'm actually going to do a video on Ineos and Ratcliffe at some point soon, an opinion video. It's more the fact that I think what you're seeing now at the start of this window is actually as dysfunctional as we are on the pitch right now. Behind the scenes, United kind of know what they're doing. United know what they want to do at the very least. And with Cunha, they've got that done. With Mbeumo, they're moving quickly. And what's next? That's what we're going to speak about now. But yeah, the absolute head loss from Newcastle fans, from Villa fans, from Newcastle journalists about the Mbeumo to United story really is one of probably the most fun things about it. Really is. And I agree with you down there, and we've all been saying that as well. What United should be doing is, I don't know, hypothetically, you go, right, we'll give you 130 as a basic salary, and that can rise to 160 based on this, this, and this. Well, I don't know how big you go on the base. I don't write bloody contracts, man. I don't write contracts. Let's be totally honest. I've got no idea about them. But ideally, United will bring in performance-based contracts. It feels basic. Does this exist at other clubs? I don't. Anybody here write contracts? Because I don't. It feels like the utter basic. To not just give everything. This is something that United have done for a long time. We're still getting stung by it with the Sancho, with Rashford wages, with a lot of other salaries and contracts that we've given out. Too much, too soon, and full wages. Of course, you've got a 25% reduction that comes from not being in the Champions League, but I don't know about anything else, if I'm being totally honest. A couple of super chats and read these out. Dean, you're saying you'd watched him from Tenerife. Love seeing the show live and getting my fix, man. Absolutely. I'm saluting you all day. Tenerife, look, man. It sometimes gets a bit of a bad rep, but it is consistent sun. Guaranteed weather in Tenerife. And if you're English, it's one of the main things you look for in the summer. Captain T1 saying, despite what people say, would you say Ratcliffe has done well in getting rid of players on big wages to help with PSR? I can't answer that question, Captain, until the end of the summer. Because there are a lot of players on big wages that we need to get rid of. Sancho is one of them. I don't know how you get rid of him. I'll be honest, I don't know how you get rid of him. Rashford's another one. And I'm not hounding Casemiro out of the door, but I think in terms of connected up thinking, I think moving Casemiro on for 20, ideally somewhere between 20 and 30 million, maybe to a Saudi club, just a swan song in the sun, and getting that 300 grand a week wages off the bill is huge. That could be, realistically, Casemiro could leave and United could pay for Cunha and Mbeumo's wages just from that. And when you say that, you go, well, obviously that's the right thing to do, because it is the right thing to do. United would still need midfield signings. Jaden is saying, Sam, I'd say once again, the studio is mental. It really is. I can't believe how good it looks. And I'm telling you, when this thing here is full, that's the community court board, right? The PO box, I'm going to ring the post office today. And once it's opened, you can send me stuff in that I can pin up there, whether it's tickets or scarves or photos or fun stuff. We've got some space on the shelf there. We've got some space there as well. Little Cantona section. Love that little Cantona section. That came up as an idea right towards the end. Anyway, let's get back into the show. Because there's still a few things I want to speak through. I want to speak through this first, and then we're going to head to the transfer whiteboards, and we're going to speak about other signings and other sales. But I want to speak about Bruno first, right? Because he gave an interview yesterday. He was out with the Portuguese national team. And he was just explaining turning down a move to Saudi. He goes, it would have been easy for me to move to Al Hilal. I know the Portuguese players there very well. I believe it's João Cancelo and Ruben Neves. But I want to play at the highest level and compete for major titles. I can do that, and I still want to. And he said over here, it was my wife who asked me. She put my professional priorities ahead of everything. And I want to stay at the highest level, as I said there. And he spoke to Amorim. He said he asked me not to leave, and United didn't want to sell him. You know what, right? I don't think we need to get into another whole full conversation about Bruno. You know my opinion on Bruno and the fact that I'm happy he stayed. But I've seen some... Look, it keeps getting sent to me, but like Saeed going... Like, I can understand if you didn't think it was the right thing to keep Bruno. But to try and label it as like a catastrophic moment for United and, oh my God, the summer's ruined and, oh wow, I can't believe that our best player and our captain is staying at the club. And to paint it in such a fashion like that is just massively, massively, massively over the top. Like, Christ almighty. Do some people really despise Bruno that much? Some United fans really despise Bruno that much? It blows my mind. Like, I can understand if you feel there are frustrations with Bruno. I really do. But to try and paint it in that sort of light is just... It is performative nonsense. That's what it is. There's no other way to describe it. Like, imagine foaming at the mouth that much about Bruno staying as a United fan. Yeah. It's crazy. Either way, I'm looking forward to seeing Bruno stay at United next season. I'm looking forward... I say confused. I've got questions about the whole midfield setup with him in it. Right, that's fair to have, but yeah, trying to paint it as some sort of like awful, oh my God, the whole summer's done moment because Bruno's staying is like, all right, mate, yeah, of course it is, Right, let me see what it's saying down here in the chat before we move on to next point. Keith saying, I'll be off to Mallorca on Sunday, Sam. That'll give me all the time in the world to catch every live. Man, I want to be next to the pool, having unnecessarily early beers. It's 12 o'clock somewhere, you know, so that's always the rule. Now, a consequence of United keeping Bruno, by the looks of it, means that Al Hilal are now going to be going heavy on Osimhen. I didn't think United were ever signing Osimhen this summer. We've been linked with him, right? We've been linked with him. But I think the wages meant it was never going to happen. Never going to happen. But now that Bruno's not gone there, they're going to have more. This is Laurie Whitwell saying that Al Hilal's got even more money to give to Osimhen. So I fully expect Osimhen to go to Al Hilal. I think they'll just give him... I mean, they were willing to give... If I'm correct, Bruno was being offered 700 grand a week. I think. Was it about there? So you can probably add another 100 on top of that. 800 grand a week. 800 grand a week. It's nuts. And he's saying it's all a matter of perspective. Both camps can be right and simultaneously wrong. None of us can really know what the ramifications will be. I don't know exactly what you're talking about there. I'm guessing you're talking about Bruno. Not sure. Either way, Osimhen doesn't look like he's going to be coming to United. And before I go into the whiteboards, I just want to have a little brief chat about Bruno. Not Bruno, Mainoo. And I actually think this is probably worth a separate video itself. I'm going to run through a little video of Gary Neville speaking about Mainoo, and then we can have a chat. Like, what's your expectations about Mainoo next season? Like, where do you think he plays? How do you think he fits in? What do you think he needs to change? I'm going to run through what Gary Neville said. Rex, you're saying, when I was in Japan, I caught most live shows with dinner. It was a nice change of pace. It was 6 p.m. Again, I'd love to go to Japan. At some point, I'll be able to travel. We're having too much fun here. Right? This is what Gary Neville said on It's Called Soccer, his other channel, about Mainoo, right?
Mainoo? No. That's a step too far. If we can't give Kobbie Mainoo a job in that two in midfield, when I see Vitinha last night play for Paris Saint-Germain, he's nowhere near that level, let's be clear at this moment in time, or João Neves. I look at Mainoo and I look at the way he plays football and I think, I tell you what, a top club will want him. Now, why can't we make him a top player? If he's one of ours and he's shown talent. Now, I don't know what's going on there in the last few months. He's obviously had some injuries this season, which has obviously caused him a problem, so he needs to stay fit. But I'd like to think that he could be one of that two in midfield that Ruben Amorim plays. But I think we should be building around Kobbie Mainoo in that centre of midfield, not just because he's come through the ranks. I'm all right for getting rid of players that have come through the ranks, but not players who've come through the ranks and haven't had the ability to go and show what they can do. Mainoo's a no for me.
Right. So, That's Gary Neville on Cobby, right? Let's pull that up there. Do you agree with him? Cobby is an incredibly talented player. Of that, there is no question. None at all. His best performances in the United shirt have come in different positions. You look at his first season, his best performances came in that deeper role. You look at his second season, he had some injuries, but you'd probably say his best moments last season came when he was closer towards the opposition's box. Mate, Mainoo physically, I don't know what he's been... He has grown. He has built out, and he has grown. He's over 6 foot now. Well, he looks 6 foot at least. I've kept going on about it last season and saying Mainoo's best position is closer to the opposition's goal. But we've just signed Cunha, and we're about to sign Mbeumo. So those two positions are going to be taken up by those. And then you've got Mason Mount. I mean, you could technically put Mainoo down as an alternative to... You probably put him down as third or fourth choice in one of those number 10 roles. So then you go deeper. And if you've got Bruno staying there, and this is where I think the question is fair about Bruno. How do you get the perfect midfield setup with Bruno? Bruno is your chief progressive passer. You don't want Bruno receiving the ball from the defenders. You want Bruno receiving the ball probably quite close to the halfway line to break the lines, vertical passes, balls in behind for Mbeumo, who will be making the runs, and Cunha will be making the runs. That's where Bruno's a special player. But Bruno's not really that deeper player. And that's why I keep going on about it. Like, I know you can't regen him, but like a Carrick feels like the midfielder that we need. But maybe even a more athletic version of Carrick, given how the modern game is faster than when Carrick played. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Vicky's saying you think that Mainoo's a long-term Bruno replacement. David, you're saying Mainoo's got no speed. I think I've seen reports suggesting that, I can't remember where it was from actually, that Mainoo's actually taken on like an athletics coach this summer to work on the explosiveness, the speed in the first few yards. I think that's something that he's definitely going to be working on this summer. Guy, you agree down there saying Mainoo's a long-term replacement for Bruno. That Leon goal was iconic. I mean, it was, man. Matt, you agree with Gary. I don't know what to expect with Mainoo next season. And also, he hasn't signed that new contract. Right? So he doesn't actually have a guaranteed future at the club. Mainoo is far too good a midfielder, in my opinion, to consider letting go. But I also don't know exactly how we've fit him into the exact position that he should play, because I'll be honest, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. Part of me wants Bruno to be the number 10 close to the opposition's goal, and then part of me remembers what he did right at the beginning, and actually he's incredible at receiving the ball from the defenders, and he could be that deeper line playmaker. He's got a bit of everything, and he's young enough that you can mould him into whatever. And I think that's kind of the point that Gary is making. Like, Cobby's good enough, and if he was in a different team, you'd mould him into that sort of role. I think he needs his role properly defined next season and a pathway laid out for him, and to work on that. Because right now, it's kind of like he plays there sometimes and he plays there sometimes. That's what I think, Paul. He's young enough to be grown into any midfield position. I think that's got to be sort of decided with him. And if he decides, you know what, my position is it up to him? Is it up to the coach? And it's a bit of both, I suppose. If he's going to work with Bruno, he's going to have to play as one of the deeper players. Right? That's what I think. But I do agree with Gary that I don't think we should be selling Mainoo at all. Right? A couple more chats down here. I agree with Mainoo's potential, but somehow convinced he has already been affected by the likes of Rashford and Sancho. I disagree on that. I don't see Mainoo and get worried that his head's gone. I don't see Mainoo and think that his head's being turned by the wrong people around him. I don't see that at all with Mainoo, if I'm being totally honest. Kieran saying we never replaced Carrick. I mean, you could say that with a long list of United players. Let's be totally honest. Right? Let's be totally honest. Let's find out. Right. This has been a long time coming. And there's been some good work going on behind the scenes. But let's bring back the transfer whiteboards, right? Anybody who hasn't seen them before, there's 4 boards. One for players linked, one for players leaving, one for active transfers, and one for done deals. And I try to update them as much as I can to keep you in the loop of what's going on. Now, this list here is as up to date as we can make it, but there will definitely be some more. So tomorrow, by the time tomorrow comes, this will definitely have more on it. You can see how it works, the little key at the bottom, not credible, credible, and legitimate, in terms of the players we're linked with, what's hot air, and which ones might actually happen. You can see there's lots of goalkeepers that we've been linked with. Emi Martinez, Milinkovic-Savic, Lemons, Hermansen from Leicester, Verbruggen from Brighton, Joan Garcia, James Trafford, tons. Midfielders, there's lots on there. I wouldn't say there's been any strong links apart from Edison so far. And you can see how many attackers we've actually been reliably linked with so far. You can see where the focus has been for United so far. But that's the linked board. Let's have a quick look at the leaving board. Now, these have been updated. So I remember last season you were complaining about the font. We've definitely made these more legible. So hopefully you enjoy these. You can see I've got the names down there of the goalkeepers or defenders I think that could be leaving. Midfielders, question marks. Attackers, right? You can see it's only Rashford that there's been any real kind of links with. Other than that, it's just like Hilal getting linked with Inter Milan or Garnacho getting linked with Napoli. But Barca and Rashford, for sure, is the strongest one. Out of anything so far in the attack. And look, I've got Jadon Sancho. I don't know how United get rid of Jadon Sancho. I really, really don't. I really, really don't, right? And if anybody wants to help with the whiteboard here, there's a channel in the Discord. I'll go in there after, and you can let me know players that should be on this board that aren't on this board, and we'll get them updated. Right, in terms of active, as it stands, the only active signing that we're going for is Mbeumo. There's not really any goalkeepers or defenders. There's been some that we've been linked with, but nothing's actually gone much further than that. No real movement on any midfielders either. Lunchtime video is going to be me running through a list of midfielders that we could or should be looking at. I did it with the strikers on the weekend. I'll do it with the midfielders. And then this is the final board, which will be the most important one across the summer. The signings that have been completed and the exits and sales. Lindelof, Eriksson, and Evans have all left on free transfer. Well, the contract's expired. And Cunha, we've signed him for 62.5 mil. Something to remember about this. I'm not going to put it on the board this time. I did it last time. I can't be asked. I'm not going to put... No, actually, no, I will. I won't put down any sort of bonuses, etc., etc. Sometimes it's like 50 mil up front, rising to 62.5 if all the bonuses are met. I only ever put the actual fee rather than what the bonuses are. But Cunha was 62.5 mil release clause. Remember that this isn't exactly how much cash is leaving United. That's something that you need to remember. It might be 62.5 million for Cunha, but we're not paying that this summer. We're going to be paying it in 3 installments, but I'm not going to split that down. It just gets mega complicated. But these are the 4 boards. Going to be updating these across the window every single day. They should be updated. Yeah, that's it. The boards are back. The boards are back. Diego Leon, yeah, he was bought in January, so he's already a United player. What else are you saying down here? Did it. We can just terminate Sancho's contract and pay him off. If we did that, I think it costs somewhere between like 5 and 10 mil. I know that might end up being the only thing United can do, but that's how much it will cost us. Sajjad saying, those who are mad that we didn't get Bruno to 100 mil all of a sudden think our owners do magic with money. I've always said United didn't need to sell Bruno in order to have a successful summer. We need to sell all those other players on that list. Rashford, Højlund, Garnacho, Anthony, Sancho, Bayinde, Onana, Shaw, Malacia, Casemiro. There's also other ones you can put down there. There's loads of players. Here's 2 of them. You got Nathan Salt from the Daily Mail saying that right now, as it stands, it feels like Bayinde is more likely to leave United than Onana. And it was actually The Athletic as well yesterday saying that Goalkeeper is a possibility, right? Onana might leave, but there's other priorities. I actually think the goalkeeper should be right up there. My opinion definitely shifted on Onana across the course of the season. And you, like I always say to people as well, your opinions are allowed to shift in life and change in life. Sometimes you might just be stubborn and you just stay in your opinion, even if you're presented with new evidence. This is my opinion. I'm not changing it. My opinion changed on Onana because all the evidence just kept coming and coming and coming and coming that he's just not the right man. I want United to be getting rid of both of those. Let's see what happens. Dave is saying, thoughts on bringing Vitek or Kovar back? I don't know what's going on with Kovar at Leverkusen, but he was second choice. I think he made a bit of an error in Champions League, didn't he? That can't be a reason why they're not going to sign him. That'll be harsh. I mean, it could be. Obviously, Ten Hag's now signed Flecken. So Kovar could technically come back. But surely if he was good enough, Leverkusen would have kept him as their number one, right? That kind of would be my instinct on that one. And Vitek, I need to have a look at how he got on loan. I don't actually know. But I think both of these should be leaving. Now, an interesting couple of updates on goalkeepers, right? John Garcia, looks like we're missing out on him. Wow, I say missing out. It looks like we've just decided not to go for him. Fabrizio saying it's a matter of time before it's done. And something happened here. Little comment from Fabrizio. Which made me go, Right? Mike, Mainoo? Anyway, Chelsea are interested in signing him. But just look at the numbers here. AC want 30 million euros for him. Chelsea won't pay that as they value him at 10 million euros because he's out of contract next season. First of all, 30 million euros. Oh, okay. Well, that's cheap. Chelsea going up 10 million euros. These are just like low numbers, man. What's your opinion on mine? I know that prior to United signing Onana, this lad was a goalkeeper that a lot of United fans wanted. It really does feel like there's quite a few goalkeepers who, there's choices that United can have this summer. Anyway, 10 million euros. You're definitely not going to get him at that price, but even 30 million euros. Don't know. Chelsea won't wait longer than Monday as they're also happy with their 4 goalkeepers in their squad. I still hope and I look forward to the day, and I really do hope it comes, that Chelsea's finances just blow up in their face. They get away with it, man. They find the loopholes. They run through them. Let's find out. Either way, I just thought that was pretty cheap. Goalkeeper is definitely going to be somebody we're speaking about quite a lot. And when it comes to sales, I just decided to have this as a little photo for sales. Why not? It's conversations that we can have. Like Sancho, I mean, technically you can put him on the board and say that he's earned us 5 million, but we've now got to start paying his wages again from, when is it? 31st of May, I'm guessing his contract with Chelsea ended. So from the 1st of June, United are paying him 200 odd grand a week. So we may well have been given £5 million from Chelsea for Sancho. But if we pay him his full salary for June and July when he doesn't kick a ball for our football club, that's going to be, what? Best part of 2 mil? Is it July? I don't know when his contract actually runs out. Some people are saying down here 1st of July. I have no idea. I have no idea exactly when it is. Either way, I'm still so pissed that he's come back to the club, man. Really is annoying. You've got Ty Marshall from Manchester Evening News suggesting that Højlund and Xerxes could leave. Højlund makes sense. Xerxes, I definitely would keep for another season. I'm making all my judgments now, and I don't know, someone got, I'm not angry about it, but annoyed saying, Sam, United players don't develop in a linear fashion. You can't always make a judgment after 2 years. I understand that, and I think you're correct, but I can as a Manchester United fan. We can't keep any players for more than 2 years if they're not developing. We just can't anymore. We've done it so often. We've hoarded players and just hoped they'll come good next year, and they never bloody do. Xerxes deserves another season, and I'll be interested to see how he plays with Cunha and Mbeumo. Because I think those two being the aggressive really aggressive, sort of like fast transitional players will allow Xerxes to drop a little bit deeper and probably feed them into play. I actually think Xerxes could really suit it more next season in the way we play with the players that we have. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Højlund, on the other hand, I think United should absolutely be selling him. But if, and I can, it's sort of like, I think it's a fair point. If the right bid came in for Xerxes, I think United would consider it. I don't think Xerxes is unsellable. I don't think there's many players in this team who are unsellable. But I don't think United will be actively pushing Xerxes out, and nor should we. On the other hand, it's still just... When does Rashford's injury end? I don't know. Was it like a hamstring injury he got with Villa that ruled him out towards the end of the season? I think it was. It's just been... The only thing I've seen is just like kind of whiffy whispers from Spain linking him with Barcelona. That's the only thing I've seen so far. Only thing I've heard so far is Rashford and Barca, and it's all been, as I said, very whiffy. But Rashford leaving this summer is a big one. Garnacho leaving this summer is a big one. Both of those two combined should be 80 million. Massively. But again, nothing really there on Rashford and his exit. Now, unfortunately, I was definitely wrong on the Alvaro Fernandes situation, or Alvaro Carrera situation. I was under the illusion that United had a 40% sell-on clause. Incorrect. This is from The Athletic, and they're confirming what we discussed yesterday. United do have a sell-on clause as part of the deal that took him to Benfica in 2024, worth 20% of anything above the £5 million the Lisbon club bought him for. So we've got confirmation there from The Athletic that the release clause for Alvaro, I don't even know what to call him, Alvaro Fernandes, Alvaro Carreras, no idea. It's 20% above 5 mil. So if he goes for, what was it, 50 million euros, I thought was the price to getting linked. 50 million euros, what's that, 43 million pounds? I don't know, something thereabouts. 20, and then you take 5 mil off, that's 37. And then 20% of 37 would be 7.4 mil. So United would get roughly 7.5 million if Alvaro Fernandes was to join Real Madrid for 50 million euros. Thereabouts. A lot less than I thought it would be, but still a good amount of money. 7.5 million would probably make him one of the most probably make him like one of the top 10 expensive sales. Rogerio saying, Ineos sacked enough staff to push Rashford and Sancho into the reserves for an entire season. I think you're massively underestimating the wages that players get versus the wages of actual staff. No, we can't afford to do that. We need to move them on. I'm definitely not a walking calculator, but I do like a little cheeky bit of mental arithmetic. I hated algebra. Pythagoras theorem can kiss my ass. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Get in the bin. Anyway, Alvaro Fernandes, best case scenario in terms of United getting money in, he goes to Madrid, 50 million euros. United will earn around about 7.5 mil. Not as much as I thought it was going to be, but it's still better than a kick in the face. Kick in the face? Is that a Samism? Kick in the teeth? Can't remember. Either way, we need to sell players, and I'm looking forward to this list getting more and more occupied. You could potentially, I mean, we've seen that United are interested in another wing-back. I'll be interested to know what side someone signed on. I'll put this in the chat, right? Say United do sign another wing-back this summer. What side do you think will sign a wing-back for? Because, to be fair, some of Dorgu's better performances have actually come at right wing-back when he's cutting inside. And when it comes to Amorim's system, I suppose, actually, if you just get a left-footed left wing-back, that would suit both roles because he likes the right wing back to be left-footed so he can cut inside, and also likes the left wing back to be left-footed to cut on the outside. So actually, you just sign another left-footed left wing back that can play on the right. I've kind of answered the question for myself. Someone down there saying, no, we should promote Mantato. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the preseason, man. I think he should get a chance. Joni is saying 7 mil for Alvaro is ridiculous for someone of his talent. Bring him back and let him cover left centre-back and left wing-back next season. I don't think... I know on paper, kind of makes sense, right? Bring Alvaro back. He would only cost 70. I don't think he would want to come anywhere near United. I think his time at United is done. And the player will has to want the move as well as the club, right? Manny saying right wing-back is a priority to back up for Ahmad. I think if United do that, then we need to sell Dalot, don't we? I think Dalot is a very good professional. I think his availability has probably been his best ability, and that can't be underestimated. But if United could get a good amount of money for Dalot, I think it would be good for us to sell him and then replace him this summer. I don't know who you get. We've been linked with plenty of right wing backs before. It's an interesting one. Frank, thank you for gifting 5 memberships down there. Rob, you've got one. Gavin, you've got one. No Stacey down there. Ron, you've got one as well. We need a backup for Ahmad, someone says down there. I want to see Lacey given some minutes in the Cups this season. We'll see. Domestic Cups, we've only got one game. It's funny that, isn't it? All this conversation we're having about Cunha and Mbeumo and the improvements of the team and this and that. Now, ladies and gents, we're only playing once a week. We're playing once a week next season. That should make a big old difference. And look, that's a good question, right? I'm going to put this down as a poll. Hypothetical. If United sold Dalot, how much would we get? I'll put 4 options down here. We've got 10 to 20, or maybe not 4 options. 20 to 30, or 30 to 40. What do you think? Not pound. Let me add a million on him there. And close that one. How much do you think we get for him? Because I think if United do go after another right wing back, you can't just keep Dalot in the squad. I mean, technically you could, but then that's just hoarding players. That's what United do before. It makes no sense. On paper, if you sign a right wing back, you've got to sell one. Don't just bloat the squad. And you can't bloat the squad, especially because you've got 1 game per week. Even more reason. But Alvaro, we're not going to get much for him. I just don't think that he'll want to come back to the club. Even if we all thought it was the right thing to do and the club actually thought it was the right thing to do, I think he would say no. Now, Diego Leon, of course, we're going to be doing a video on him later this week, just sort of what's gone on with Diego Leon since he went back to, was it Cerro Porteño in Paraguay? How did his second half of the season go? Did he progress? I'll bring you an update because he's going to be joining the club in June. He's already joined the club, but he's actually going to be joining up with the club in June. When do players return to Carrington? I know that pre-season's July the 19th. I'm guessing towards the start of July. I think so. I'm guessing it'll be like a proper month off. Right, let me see what you're saying down here in the we've got 600 votes in the poll. Big up to everyone. 52% of you think we get 20 to 30 mil. 35% of you think we get 30 to 40 mil. And 13% of you think we'll get 13%. No, 13% of you think we'll get 10 to 20 mil. Let's have a look. Let me pull this up here. I think in an ideal world, and rarely does ideal worlds actually happen, I think United would sell and replace Dalot this summer. I wouldn't put it high up my priority list. I think there's a lot that needs to get done, but in an ideal world, I think United would be able to sell and replace him. Whether they can do that, I don't quite know. Nicholas is saying, how many wages open up from players leaving at the end of the contract? As we go back to the done board, I think the boards are back now. Lindelof, Eriksson, and Evans. I think Lindelof was on about 100k a week, wasn't he? Eriksson was on about 150. Evans, I have no idea. I would say the best part of 300 grand from those three. Chris, I actually don't think I'll do better than Dalot. Well, that's for sure. My legs are screwed, man. They really are. It's very, very annoying. But basically the last 6 weeks, because of all the house move, everything got done, my training's gone out the window. I'm hoping from maybe next week-ish to get back into it. And then I'm going to have like 9-10 months of really in the house. I mean, I'm settled, I'm good. Just focusing on that because I'm looking forward to that. So I think you've probably saved around about 300 grand a week there in Lindelof, Eriksson, and Evans' wages. We don't know exactly. But that could, in theory, you know how I mentioned about Casemiro leaving, paying for Cunha and Mbeumo? United's wage bill might be the exact same. Take Lindelof, Eriksson, and Evans off. Put Mbeumo and Cunha on it. Might be the same. Right. I'll tell you what, I'm really, really enjoying these live shows this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making it what it is. The chat is really, really good. Big up to the mods for making it decent. Big up to everyone for sending in super chats. For Dean, for gifting 50. Frank, you gifted some as well. Mr. Mean, you're saying not out of topic, how's the leg? Just mentioned it there, actually, now that you mentioned it. I'll be here tomorrow, as always. I'll be here at lunchtime today. The video is going to be on central midfielders, like the ones that we've been linked with. I'm going to run through them. Hope you have a cracking day. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, take it easy.